I am back home in New York City. I'm thrilled to be home. I know I'm home when my phone is automatically connecting to Wi-Fi, but for the last 7 days or so, I was home somewhere else. I was home in Barcelona, where the Avalanche Summit was. If you weren't there, you missed out. And I don't know if some of you must have missed out the Avalanche ICO, the initial coin offering, or whatever it was, the very first private sale for 50 cents. You could have had Avalanche at 50. I'm sure you guys, many of you, like I did, you missed out on a bunch of things. Don't feel bad about those. That's totally fine. But you ought to feel terrible about missing the Avalanche Summit. It was fantastic. You guys should feel very sad if you weren't there. And don't have FOMO. Do not ape into other coins and stuff. That's stupid behavior. That's not rational investing behavior. But if you have FOMO about having missed out the summit, then you deserve to have the FOMO. It was so great. It was such a positive environment. It was such a coming of age party. It was like a debutante party. We were born of the pandemic. We never knew each other. We were online, but it was, it started out with just a couple of us pushing the agenda for Avalanche, and it kind of grew like an avalanche to a huge movement, but we never knew how big it was. We hadn't met each other, and it all happened in Barcelona. It was absolutely fantastic. I'll talk a little bit more about it. In fact, that's what I'm going to talk about, but I want to set the stage for my current mood and for my current condition. I'm a little run down. I am psychologically as happy and positive and excited as one could be. Physically, I'm dying. I don't know if you can hear it. Like if this was a computer game and I had a health bar above my head, it'd be like a red 3%. So like the next thing that comes along would kill me. So I should not engage in any kind of altercations with NPCs and AI bots. But it was draining, but it was so worth it. It was a fantastic event. It was just so fun and so good. My voice is gone. I tested negative. I hugged I don't know how many people. I took selfies with hundreds of people, and I was convinced I was going to get probably the worst variant on Earth, or what have you. I didn't get any of it. Some people did get COVID, of course. It's inevitable. You never know where and why, but I didn't. So if you hugged me, you didn't get it from me, or you got something, it's not from me. But my voice is gone, and I'm totally drained. It's taken me 4 days. I had to go to another meeting after that, so I haven't been able to get home and rest. Just got home, not last night, but the night before, and I've been resting. I need a little bit more rest, but I want to do my favorite activity before I take the weekend off and try to recuperate, which is talking to you guys about what's happening. I guess this first slide says, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us. It's been amazing. It's just this build out that we've had is unprecedented. Normally, we're used to corporations building things, and in the seed stages, you all are contractually kept out of participating. In the seed stages, you're not there. It's just a whole bunch of VCs who are present, and you get a final packaged corporate product by the time think people are able to participate in the making of new technology. Suppose you wanted to get into, you knew that the internet was going to be big by the time you can participate in the Netscape IPO. It's like, it's just way too late, way far down the line. But in the creation of a new web, in the creation of new financial rails, it's possible to be early. And so here we are. So thank you for being here. Thank you for making Avalanche what it is. The summit, as awesome as it was, and as hard as the events team at Avalabs worked for it, it was made what it is by you. It's all you. And I'm so grateful to all of you for being there. It was just the right crowd. Here's a picture from the hackathon. You can see like the excitement is palpable. I'm barely trying to contain my smile. There's baby Luigi right next to me. I don't know how that became a meme. He's a proper sized adult, but somehow everybody pretends that he's like baby sized. And there's a picture of him going around in a baby Bjorn and in Kevin's lap, which is about as close as Kevin's going to get to a baby. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of jokes going on. So it's a great crowd. There's the hackathon crowd. This is only, I don't know how many hundred people were there. This is the aftermath. The stage only held this many. There's a whole tent full of other people in the front. And then the summit itself, we planned for 2,500 people, and we ended up getting about 4,000 people. So it's insane. Maybe more. You never know, because we weren't too strict with enforcement at the edges, at the entrances either. So one of the nice things, of course, is the mix of people. It was just the right mix of students, people who were building things, devs, founders, innovators. No suits, absolutely no suits. This is not a VC coin. Go to one of the other coins that are making so much noise and see the suits for yourselves. There's a crap ton of ghost chains out there. This was a very different vibe. Lots of innovative projects. This is where the innovation is taking place, because it's the obvious place. It's cheap, it's fast, it works the way it's supposed to work. Other chains are aspiring to turn into us. We've got something that works right here, and we're setting the agenda for blockchains, the space's evolution. So we'll talk about that in subsequent all access channels, maybe. Anyhow, so this was a picture. Here we are. There were a couple of key announcements at the summit. So I'm assuming that some of you, missed out on the summit. You should have FOMO, but I don't want you missing out on the key announcements. So I want to cover them, and I want to go over what it is that we announced. The very first thing, one of the biggest announcements at the summit, was support for Bitcoin on the Avalanche bridge. This is huge. This means that Bitcoin is no longer a hodl coin. Bitcoin does what it does best, which is it just sits there. You take it, the maxis have told you to hold it, everybody knows about it. I worked, many others worked to get the Bitcoin brand up. I was working on this when Bitcoin was less than $10. I was working on it when it was in the teens. I saw it go through the hundreds, the thousands. I saw it go back down. I watched it go back up. I was there all along, and I helped the regulators, for example. I told them, I briefed a lot of the regulators. Probably, I think I've talked to more regulators than anyone except the Coin Center crew. They've spoken, and Caitlin Long. Caitlin Long is as well. She's awesome. So of the OGs, I think I'm right up there in number of regulators briefed, and I told them to exercise a light touch. So anyhow, Bitcoin is where it is, but it's not all that useful when you're holding it. You hold it, it's valuable, and it's got all these anti-inflationary properties, which are nice, and which, by the way, Avalanche also has. The Avax coin also has. But there are a lot of people who know Bitcoin and understand Bitcoin. They might not know Avalanche yet. That's fine. They know Bitcoin, they hold it, and they're just holding it. It's like holding real estate that's valuable, or holding something that is going to go up in value. That's fine. That's at least the mentality there. That's great, but you should be able to use it. It's collateral. If it has value, it's collateral. And if it's collateral, then it should be used in finance. So you should be able to, for example, borrow against it. So if you've got a Bitcoin, you should be able to put it into Banky, borrow 20,000 against it, and as long as the Bitcoin price is above 25,000 or so, you're good. If it hits 25,000, then you should, think about liquidating your Bitcoin and paying back the loan you paid. But this should be accessible to you, and it isn't, and that's coming very, very shortly. And I'm thrilled about it. I cannot wait. I wonder how much TVL will flow to Avalanche as a result. The other thing that's coming in terms of bridges is protocol level bridging. Subnets are taking off. We're going to come and revisit this. DeFi Kingdom subnet went live last night. It actually went live, I think, the night before. And then yesterday there was a bunch of transfers. Today there's the yield pools are being enabled today. And then the gameplay will commence very shortly. I'm thrilled. It looks fantastic. It's got that cool old 80s feel to it. Maybe there are slides on it. In any case, it just looks gorgeous and beautiful. And so, but there's going to be other subnets. And when you have subnets that are designated for different functions, you will want to have your assets potentially move from one location to another. You might have an in-game character, for example, that's really valuable that you've built up. And you might want to borrow against the in-game character. It's possible. You should be able to use your game assets in DeFi. This is totally possible. I'm giving this as an extreme example just to get the audience into the right mindset of innovation. I want you guys to come up with the cool, crazy use cases, but they're all out there for you to take. And we are the ones making the platform possible. You ought to bring the value on top, the layer on top. Take the value, that's great. I want to see you succeed. And let's together build a fantastic collection of networks, chains that work together. So protocol level bridging is one of those things that's going to be available to you so that any subnet can talk to any other. Now, make no mistake, we're going into a world of bridges and chains, and not every chain is as fast or as cheap as every other. There's going to be a lot of different, nor is every chain as secure as every other. Okay, so a lot of people are going to be building really shitty bridges. They're going to lose huge amounts of money on crappy bridges. This is going to happen. It's already happening. So that's normal. That's to be expected. That's just your regular smart contract bridge technology. There are different ways of doing it. The bridge you guys might be used to is the Ethereum Avalanche bridge, whose architecture I did. So that's pretty secure and fast. I don't think anything's going to beat that one. So protocol level bridging, nobody is going to tell you that it's going to be cheap. This is probably going to be an expensive bridge. So this is going to be one of the most secure bridges, but it's going to be expensive and slow. So there's some kind of a trade-off there. We can talk about bridge architecture trade-offs, and maybe we need terminology to talk about different bridges. There's the layer 0 bridge, Stargate. That's an interesting architecture as well. There are many others. There's Wormhole and others that are coming on from the Solana land. These are all complementary techniques. And, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what bridge you come over to a subnet or to Avalanche's default chains with. It's all good. It's going to be a fantastic experience. But this, you should be able to count on protocol level bridging. So even if you can't stand up a bridge on your own, you should be able to count on this one as a bridge of last resort. Okay, another big announcement is the Core wallet. We have a new wallet coming out. It looks kind of like this, what's on screen. I think it looks fantastic. And it's got 3 forms: browser extension, mobile app, and desktop. And the browser extension is kind of like a MetaMask replacement. It's going to be out soon. I expect all of you to download the alpha and to test it out and to give us feedback. It's pretty darn cool. We made it as cool as one could. It's got all the right settings. It's got all of the right features. It has, what does it have? It is ledger enabled from the get-go. It has a portfolio. It has a collectibles section, so it supports tokens and NFTs from the get-go. It is well integrated with dApps and the Avalanche bridge. You can bridge from inside your wallet. That's a really nice feature. You can do swaps between hundreds of tokens directly from the wallet, and you can buy a Vox directly from the wallet. You can do payments, of course, it goes without saying. So payments on this thing are sub-second, and if I try to use a credit card, for me at least, most of the time these days, that's about 3 to 5 second operation. It used to be even longer. So we're faster than Visa and more convenient than Visa, more secure than Visa. It's kind of good. So the future is pretty darn bright. I'm feeling great. I'm physically dying, as I said, but other than that, this is I'm so thrilled about the tech we've built and the tech that's going to be available soon. So this should be coming out in the weeks ahead, no more than a few weeks. And please test it out because I'm so excited about it. It looks kind of like this. Oh, here are some screens. The one on the left shows you your account, the net present value of your assets. You've got your tokens listed there. Or is this guy rich? Yeah, he's rich. He's got a lot of money. Yeah, 50K. That's cool. And he's got some Yak tokens and Banky tokens. And yeah, he's doing fine. He's got a watch list. That's cool. So you can watch what's happening in the crypto markets. And he's got a bunch of other things going on. That's cool. So test it out. There's much more to it once you download. There's some Easter eggs in it as well. So go play with it. It's going to be so cool. And I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. Let's see. There is this big announcement. So there I was in Barcelona. I'm going from station to station, meeting people, saying hello to people, random people coming up and saying hello to me back, etc. And then suddenly it's time for a big announcement. And I had no idea. I just kind of showed up there I knew we'd been talking to this group called Open, and but I had no idea that Grimes was going to beam in. And she only beamed in because she had COVID and couldn't come. She was going to come, so that she was going to show up. So suddenly I found myself, I am right there in this picture, right just a little to the right of this hand over here. So I'm in the front looking up, and there's Grimes. And I'm like, oh shit, I can't even remember the names of her kids. And if I could, I couldn't pronounce them, and she gave a very, very concise summary of the concerns of an artist when it comes to NFT platforms. And she was incredibly well spoken, first of all, and very tech savvy. She even mentioned the amount of carbon that different chains consume, and the fact that Avalanche only consumes 46 households worth of electricity a year, as one of the reasons why she picked Avalanche as the chain to issue on. So I was thrilled, and I was like, "Is this my life?" And suddenly, like, Elon's X is in front of us, and more importantly, she's been brainwashed undoubtedly by Bitcoin and Doge dogma. And here she is. She's saying, "No, no, 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 no. Forget that stuff. Forget the Elon sphere of influence. I want to pick a green chain." And here she is on Avalanche. I was thrilled. It was amazing. She's a great artist, and there will be many others, I hope, that come and use us. But there are many others. In fact, there might even be some pictures of others in this deck. There were some amazing artists who have already issued NFTs that actually came to the summit. I got a chance to meet as well. So, oh yeah, and then here's a picture of me in all of this with the Open guys. So it was fantastic. Oh, this is a different picture. I like this picture. Look who can jump. A good old hacker can jump. So I jumped higher than all these younger people. So, cheers to them. This is an amazing team building a very cool application. They're all from Cape Town, South Africa. I guess maybe the Coriolis forces were acting on them, so they were kind of like kept low. Couldn't jump as high as me as I could. But fantastic crowd. They built a very nice financial application. So watch out for them. I'll tweet out when they go public. They were at the hackathon and they won a big prize, rightfully so, because they had a very nice thing. I don't know if I should be revealing names and projects and so on, so I'm not going to do anything right now. But they were doing a great job there, and so I was like, hey guys, let's do a boy band thing. Let's all jump up. So here's a bunch of people. Oh, this is great. They all gave me a T-shirt that says Blockfather on it. And I look like Don Corleone over there. And I don't know, I kind of like this picture a lot. And so now people want Blockfather T-shirts. So we're going to have to find a way to sell them on a merch store or something. And one of the cool things is at the summit, there was another person who had just built an NFT-driven merch store. So that's exactly who I plan to work with in getting the shorts out. So it's going to be fun. So, and behind them, you can see this car. This is the Avalanche Andretti Formula E electric car, and it's been doing the rounds around the world. I think they're doing very well. But even if not, it's cool. The whole thing is cool. It's super green. You charge up the car, it whizzes across the track, makes an uncanny sound. If you haven't heard it, just go look it up on a YouTube video. That sound alone is worth the price of admission. It's just like this bizarre, whizzing sound, and the whole thing looks amazing. I got a chance to get into the car. I hope the other attendees also kind of played with it. It's so hard and claustrophobic. I have no idea how that super tall driver gets in there and doesn't feel like he's going to die any minute. And the steering wheel has, I don't know, I think I counted 14 different buttons. It's pretty hard to drive, and lots of decisions to make as a pilot on one of these things. It's amazing. Oh, there I am. I look so goofy. It felt so crazy. I didn't even put in the 4-point harness and or the 5-point harness, however many points it's got. But it was really cool. I'm trying to figure out in my geeky way the various different buttons on it. It was really cool. So this is neat. Who's this? I don't. Oh, these are the drivers. These are the pilots for the Avalanche Andretti, I think. This is Alex Ferreira. So he's one of the Olympic people. He was just at the Olympic Games, and and is looking into getting into blockchains. I'm thrilled to chat with him. I also got a chance to have dinner with Apollo Ono. It's like to my right in 2 seconds was Apollo Ono, and he's a super savvy investor and has been doing some amazing investments in the blockchain space. So I was talking to him. It was a great crowd. This is the Dexalot thingy. I don't know what the hell this is. It's an axolotl. An axolotl is a weird animal that never grows beyond the larval stage or something of a salamander. Whatever the hell it is, it's Dexalot's mascot. Dexalot was omnipresent here. They were everywhere. It was fantastic. They sponsored a couple of the teams at the hackathon, or rather, they sponsored a challenge, and 6 or 7 teams responded to that challenge. It was wonderful, and they were building various market makers for online markets like Dexalot. So if you sort of extrapolate the end game is a gazillion markets that are competing with each other, and so we're going to take over the crown from the main centralized markets into DEXs. Now, in terms of DEXs, it's going to be a world where just a few of them will actually survive, and the few that survive will survive on their merits. User adoption is important in markets, but not all that important really. Liquidity is king, and if you've got liquidity, if you've got speed of execution, if you've got security, then users will come. And so Dexalot's got all of those. And you might have heard of Dexalot. I've mentioned it before. They were doing price discovery for new issuances on Avalanche. They did it for their own coin, worked beautifully, and they're now doing it for various different launches. They're going to be doing that. They're also going to start their subnet. So I can't wait to see that happen. It's going to be great for them. Subnets have been a big success for DFK so far. Oh, this is a paella. Oh, this is wonderful. So I did not have. Oh no, I did. I had some of the paellas at the place. This paella, I don't know what to say. I forgot the name for the crust that forms at the base. You just got to get it right. So the Spaniards who are listening to me are like, yeah, that crust. So I wish I remembered the name, but it's fantastic. And my mouth is watering even now as I look at paella pictures. So don't know what this is. It's some celebration of some kind. Oh, then there was this. This is a couple of our summit attendees in front of an old monastery. And they had this 3D projected imagery on top. It was so great. This is an evening party after the hackathon was over, and this is part of that evening party. And that's our DJ, one of our DJs. Oh, and then prior to the start, of course, Barcelona is such a wonderful city with ancient traditions. This one I happen to love. My back hurts just looking at it. It's just, I can see the chiropractic industry must be huge in Spain. I know it isn't. I know these guys are super solid, so they don't actually get injured. So they've got to have weeded out from the population the weak genes. It's amazing to watch. If you haven't seen one of these things, again, it's a sight to behold, especially in person. This was an event at the Gaudi House with musicians. It was fantastic. And now, just to make sure that I compensate for the boy band picture, we worked really hard to make sure that there was gender diversity. At the summit, the representation of women among the speakers was actually pretty good. I think it's the highest of any conference I've been to. I don't know. It was great, and people are now posting about the various different things that others did to improve the situation. Now, don't get me wrong. We have a long ways to go in both crypto and finance. As a computer scientist, I always thought, hey, we don't have enough women in computer science. And then I went and saw the situation in finance. It's pitiful. It's even worse than computer science. And then blockchains are at the intersection of these two areas. And it's just like, oh, what the heck? So we've got a long ways to go. But Avalanche is working, Avalabs is working really hard. I hope Avalanche as a community is working really hard to be inclusive to all kinds of genders, all kinds of every adjective that anyone might carry, nationalities, ethnicities, religions, etc. I'm thrilled. You should have seen the crowd there. It was such a sweet crowd. It was so good. yeah, and others are noticing. These are, it's just like a reporter decided, like, it was so obvious and palpable that this was all about building, about networking, about creating new ventures perhaps, but it wasn't about price talk. This isn't a bunch of people hodling the coin, hoping that other people will come in and then we'll make them rich. So we did a lot. So you have no idea what goes into organizing a conference that's this good. I'm not going to give away the secrets. The events team is fantastic, and every little detail builds up into a result like this. So there will be a lot of copycats. We are the most copied project. Every time we do something, even the missteps, they copied our failures as well. It is that bad. They're aping into our steps. So we will watch them do it, and it'll be funny. And as people ape, maybe I'll do a series on apes and their mistakes. I'll point out why they failed in subsequent all access. It'll be funny. Well, let's see what happens. All right, I told you the big subnet was out. DeFi Kingdom. It's the graphics are absolutely beautiful. Look at these graphics. It's it's a genre. So some people like Kevin don't like this stuff. I think he likes super hyper realistic. When he's getting slapped, he wants to see everything in like 3D, whatever. I like these like old school games. They've got a sort of a 90s feel to them. They've got that 8-bit feel. Lines are not anti-aliased, so the techies among you will know what that means. So essentially, they have like little jaggedy edges if you blow them up. But I kind of like it. It gives it a cool, quaint, retro look. And what's there not to love? This thing launched, and during the launch, as with any technology, it is insane to expect that it will launch without a hitch. Even Apple has hitches during its launches. It has product shortages. It has issues it needs to patch, battery issues, software issues, and so on. So same is going to be true with subnets. So DFK, but it went really well so far. One issue that we had was that on the bridging in of resources, of assets into the DFK chain, there was a limitation that we didn't realize during testing. So that limitation was slowing us down, was creating a bit of a backlog. I think the start of the yield pools got delayed for that backlog to be processed. So no big deal. I'm sorry for keeping some of you guys waiting a little bit. It can happen. Give us time. It won't happen on the second subnet launch. That's cool. We learn fast from our mistakes. Not a big deal overall. The launch is going amazingly well. And here, from a techie perspective, here's what's going on. This is a picture of, it's not a picture. Every time my students would say that, I'd be like, no, that's not a picture. This is a graph of two things. This is time on the x-axis. So this is time. We're close to where we are. And this is gas used. And so the purple is the C chain mainnet. So that's what the default C chain is using. And it is doing what the C chain does, right? That's the load that's incurred upon the C chain by all kinds of things, by whatever's happening on it. I think 25% of it is Krabada, another game. And then the remainder is all DeFi activity. So when there's price action and so forth, there'll be more DeFi and maybe less games and so on. But it's mediated by what a single chain can handle at any one time. And now suddenly out comes this pink line, and that's the DFK stuff. And this entire load, which would drive the prices up, has no impact whatsoever on the C chain. So you and I and everybody we know, we get to enjoy cheap transactions, while the other folks doing the DFK game get to enjoy even cheaper transactions, isolated from us and us isolated from them. So this is an amazing situation to be in. Up until this point, you heard so much freaking noise. There were all these idiotic maxis, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. What about shared security? What about this? What about that? And, I don't know what to say to them. So it's just, the product just sells itself. It does its own thing. I told you that the way you were building it was wrong. I got into Twitter fights. You all who are listening to me now, you probably did not stand by me when I was getting into Twitter fights. It's okay, that's fine. I'm used to being the standard bearer in blockchains and making a technical case from merits alone. That's fine. And so, there was a tussle and so on, and we kept telling people, look, you're thinking of it wrong. And usually, the problems in these cases aren't that the other person is making saying something stupid. They're not. They just have the wrong framework. They don't have the right metrics. They don't have the right values. They're not going after the right end results. And someone with some common sense and a bit of scientific knowledge has to come in and say, no, you're thinking of it wrong. We did this. We did this for years. I've been doing this, and people don't listen. And the only way you can then show them is you just build it and say, look, here it is. And now we're going to watch them try to copy us. And there's a very familiar process here. They're going to copy us. They're going to deny our involvement. They're going to try to what's called sight through us. They're going to be like, oh, you weren't the one who came up with this. Blah, blah, blah did. And so that's what's going to happen very, very soon. It's going to be fun to watch. You all know exactly how this is playing out, though, because you're here firsthand. The Crypto Climate Coalition called Lemonade is launching. And this is a carbon sequestration work. Again, carbon credit work that's happening. Fast Company covered it, and I think that's fantastic to see mainstream discussion of blockchain topics, and it's happening on Avalanche. So, this was interesting. I was at the summit. I got called by Emily here, one of the best reporters in the space. I'm glad to see her at Coindesk, and she was asking me about regulation, and my response to her was, I can't wait for regulatory clarity. I speak for everybody in DeFi that we all want it. We want to know exactly how much to pay in taxes. We want to know exactly how to register, etc., etc. So we can build it into our infrastructure. Okay, we can just make things happen if given clarity. And so the regulators need to do their job. And they are doing their job. They're not sitting on their laurels. They already, I think, under President Biden, under his initiative, they started doing studies, and they're going to come back with a lot of studies. And after those studies, they're going to come back with new legislation. And I'm hoping that they don't go overboard and turn into the European crowd, which brought us those interminable, stupid pop-ups. This site uses cookies. Do you accept? And if you don't accept, then you have to click 5 times. And if you do accept, then you click 1. It just kills the experience. It's stupid. It accomplished nothing. That was shit legislation if I've ever seen one. The American legislation is has generally been far better because we have a better culture here. And I don't use that word lightly. We have a far better culture of entrepreneurship, far better culture of tech innovation in the United States. Europe has been how do you characterize the European approach to regulation? Fussy followers, I think, is what it is. Technologically, they follow. They don't innovate, sadly. And they are very fussy. Now, the fussiness comes from a good place, but because they're not in command of or coupled with the technology, it doesn't necessarily lead us to a good place. So yeah, I'm concerned about tracking and privacy. I'm deeply concerned, far more than any European legislator. But then the end result is not a stupid pop-up that tells me that I'm going to get screwed. And if I don't want to be screwed, then I have to click 17 times to get out of it. That's not the solution. So anyhow, I hope people around the world will, the legislators around the world will get their act together. I'm very hopeful about the legislation in the US, and hope that it will come out with clear, bright line guidelines for everyone to follow. Anyhow, speaking of corporations and so on, I thought I would end on this note. It says, in our current environment, no, what does it say? It comes because Zhu Su said, crypto bros are often referred to as far right. Damn right. Crypto bros are have been typically very far right. Bitcoin maxis are far right. They're some of them are vile creatures, racist creatures, and so on. And there's just like the lowest form of humans that I've seen. I've been in that crowd, and they make a lot of noise. But you got to realize that they're a tiny, tiny minority. Just ignore them. But Zhu Su points out The most influential writings for me in college were radical left-wing academic works like Irresistible Empire, America's Advance to the 20th Century Europe. And just it's a good segue topic, by the way. If anything, many of us are extreme anti-corporatist. This is new. So this didn't used to be this way. It was all crazy right-wingers when I was first looking into Bitcoin. It was all extreme libertarians, extreme, I don't know what, anarcho-capitalists perhaps. And so that's where it started. But I think now a new crowd of people are coming in with a different sensibility. They're not here to take the state down. Definitely, I'm not. They're not here to break down, everything we know and then rebuild something with Bitcoin at the center or what have you. That's just not how things are going to work. It's just, that's a fine dream maybe, but it'll never come up. So and in fact, it's misplaced worries. The worry isn't necessarily the state. The worry are the corporations. They are the ones with the incentives and the ability, the means to make our lives, to restrict us in what we can do, to restrict our economic avenues, to restrict us, to limit what we can do with our leisure, to limit what we see, to limit what we feel, and to limit what we do. The state is just an arm of their enforcement. They buy to create moats. We're going to see that play out from TradFi to DeFi very soon. They do all sorts of things. And so it's going to be an interesting battle. At the heart of this battle is new technology. And, speaking from somebody who grew up in a city that was conquered by tech, right? Constantinople fell at the business end of a cannon, and cannons before then were small affairs. So tech brings down empires, and that's what's going to happen with blockchains. We've managed to build as a community an amazing technological artifact that's going to help us break through these barriers. And then this clown, Kevin, has announced that he is joining Justin's son as his new executive assistant. Proud to serve His Royal Majesty. And good luck, Kevin. I will miss you. It was great. We had a good run. And make sure you tuck Justin into his bed every night as he goes to sleep. And for the rest of you, do check the date on the very first slide. Thank you so much for being here. I do hope you have some FOMO. I do hope you're well informed about the different announcements at the summit. And I can't wait to see you at the next Avalanche event. We execute incredibly well as a community. We came here on a spectacular ride, and we showed that we can execute technically. We can execute on the product side. We can build things that people want that have just the right trade-offs. And now we've shown the world that we have a great time together. So the event was amazing, and I hope I'll see you at another Avalanche event. Take care. Have a great weekend.